So 46.42 is roughly the top for today. That's kind of what we were expecting, and that's where we ended up. For tomorrow morning, we may push higher. Like going into the FOMC meeting, I could see us maybe pushing up into like 46.50. That'll depend largely on how futures behave tonight. We could pull back to like the 46.25 range also, but I would say that those are the two ranges where price is most likely to get pinned until the FOMC meeting. If PBI is really bad or something, that might drop us a little bit or change the range that we approach the meeting in. But I still expect like 46.25 or 46.50 to kind of be where we land. Commodities down yet again today. There's still really no good news out of China. They fell below their prior low, and now are headed towards their low of like December 2021, which is around like 94.71, and that's the Bloomberg Commodity Index futures, so like broad commodities. Yields actually pushed up a little bit today, despite the massive drop earlier after the auction. They went up a little bit, and they seem to have held on to some of that. Correlation and 3-month correlation are continuing to push down. 3-month core breaking through its prior floor, and now approaching like the September 13th peak. So still a lot of that dispersion trade being leaned on, and obviously that's helping drive prices higher. However, forward return on volatility is still holding the upside, and yields are increasing again, which is, that's going to draw that bond curve towards zero and the yield curve the bond curve towards negative and the yield curve towards positive. As those cross over, that increases the demand for volatility. So we're getting closer to a pinch point there, and those can both move very, very quickly. So I wouldn't say they give you a very good idea of timing, just kind of where the underlying pressure is. USD JPY dropped today, so yen up on last night's PPI news. They saw 0.8% month over month increase in PPI. Skews kind of turning up again. Obviously, we're seeing that with tons of vol shorting. So the chance of a larger sigma move increasing, and the cost to hedge that move decreasing. VIX actually pushed on the weekly. VIX correlation against VIX futures contract in front broke through the low from Volmageddon. So they are less correlated than they have been, or they're more negatively correlated than they have been in any time since the peak of vol shorting leading into Volmageddon. So this is one of the largest vol shorts the market's experienced in its history, with the only other exception being like the tail end of like April 2021, and there weren't really like a lot, or 2010, and there weren't really like a lot of vol products back then, so that one might not be as relevant. 82% of the S&P 500 above its 28-day moving average, still very much holding the peak of this. It's expected that over time this would see a pullback, but we've yet to see one. And the longer we remain up here, the more indicative it is of a growth cycle. I think that's about it on the broader market stuff. GME still pretty liquid, still getting shorted. Confirmation of the breakdown there at like the 20 or 60-day moving average at like 1450. Upstart not performing super well. Fubo got shorted earlier and then kind of bounced back a little bit. That seems to be getting pressured a little bit, but just alongside Russell, which didn't do great today. Russell 2000 was down 6 basis points on the day, with every other index up. Siri got a buyout offer, started to get some covering in the latter half of today. Closed the day at 5:30. I'm not really sure how the buyout offer is going to affect short positions currently on Sirius, but there is a large short position that's deeply embedded. So, however, that position isn't carrying a ton of risk. I mean, most of it came in around $6, right? So above $6, there's not a lot more room to cover. Top still being shorted and moving up, which is probably a good sign. And then beyond managed to hold above gamma neutral today, but did not quite see any breakout of DN. And we're looking kind of here. That's about where DN is. And then we're kind of looking here as the lower price target at Gamma Max. So still quite a bit of room to run. I think the price action is perfectly satisfactory. As long as it remains on reg show and we don't see any significant drop in price. Being supported by Gamma Neutral is a huge help because it means when shorters try to drive the price down, they have to fight back against the market maker to do it. And so, and then even more so, were the price to cross delta neutral. So that downside protection that it offers is very good for anybody pressuring shorts, and it's kind of a big deal. So we'll continue to watch this over the next few days. It may not run this week. I've said before that the rest of the liquidity might not get blown out till after OPEC settlement when all those puts fall off. But there is some chance that it could get blown out before then, and so that's why I've got a little bit of coverage right now. Then I'll add coverage for later as we approach it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's it. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night. Later.